This is a short video to describe a recent Arduino project which I've just completed. The basis of the project is I developed this for a relative of mine who has macular degeneration, which means he has very limited vision and is unable to read, but he does enjoy television, but has a real problem because he can't read the small buttons on the TV remotes, and he can't also identify the TV channels that he's watching. And although he enjoys listening to the television, it's a real problem, especially with satellite television with so many different channels and the tiny TV remotes. So this project was to develop a dedicated remote control with specific buttons for each of his favourite TV channels, so that he just has to push one button to actually switch to that channel. So let me just take you on a bit of a guided tour of this remote. So if you look down at the bottom part here, you can see there are 16 buttons, each button dedicated to a particular channel, and on the front of each button is the specific logo for that particular channel. I wonder if I move it up closer you can sort of catch that. Then at the top of the remote are the standard TV remote buttons. So the red button up at the top is for the power, which turns the television on and off. The green button is the mute button, and then a couple of buttons for channel up and down and volume up and down. And the buttons are in different shape and in a different location, so that by feel you can actually tell which button you've pressed. And then at the front there's a USB connector here that just enables to reprogram the Arduino processor, or to, if you want to change which particular TV channels are associated with the button. And then there's a couple of infrared diodes here to send the infrared commands to the television, and a power adapter. Unfortunately at the moment the microprocessor takes too much power to run off an internal battery, and perhaps that's a future enhancement, because it is possible to send the Arduino to sleep and save power and wake it up with an interrupt when any one of these buttons are pressed. Or maybe to install an accelerometer which knows when the TV remote's picked up, and to wake up the processor. Maybe a feature enhancement sometime. At the front here, I don't know if you can pick that up, there's a series of holes. And you think, now, why would there be holes on a TV remote? Is it for ventilation? No, the answer is there's a little wee speaker in behind there, and that's one of the features of this particular remote, is that I've installed an MP3 player inside, which is programmed with a voice for each of the buttons, so that you get when a button is pressed, you actually get a particular voice. So just to illustrate, for instance, if I press this one here,
BBC News,
or mute, or
channel
down, or
channel up,
or history channel,
CNN.
So it just illustrates the voices which are programmed into this. So the sound player that I've used is a DF player, which uses a serial interface from Arduino. It costs less than about $10 and uses an SD card to store the sound files. The Arduino I've used is just a standard Uno card, and this repeatedly scans the 22 buttons in a 5x5 matrix. So it uses a total of the 10 pins on the Arduino, and uses the standard keypad library. The main challenge with the project was to find out what infrared codes are used by each of the 3 remotes that we have. So there are Samsung codes to operate the Samsung TV, and that's just used by the power button to turn the TV on and off. The satellite receiver is a Sky television device, and that uses totally different types of codes to the Samsung, and that's used for the channel up and down and for each of the discrete channel buttons. And finally, for the sound, that is a Philips soundbar, so I had to find the particular codes for the Philips soundbar. Unfortunately, a number of very smart people have already cracked the problem of decoding infrared codes and programming them for an Arduino, and those are available in the Arduino libraries from GitHub. I'll put a reference to those libraries at the end of this video. So the first thing to do was to make a simple circuit with an Arduino and an infrared receiver, and to use this to decode each of the signals coming from the 3 different remotes. Then the next part was just to write a simple program that would scan the keys on the keypad, and to then play the appropriate sound file on the MP3 chip, and then send out the correct sequence on the infrared diodes. So for example, if you press the BBC News, that sends out a 0 and then an 8 and then a 9 to switch to channel 089. So that's a short description of a project to develop a dedicated television remote for a person with poor eyesight. It does illustrate the wonderful power of the Arduino microprocessor and what can be achieved.